afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
If you all wouldn't mind changing your names in Zoom from host 500 or 1000, excuse me. It's usually 500. I'm a broken record sometimes.
That's why I can't take you. All right.
Thank you, sir. Heard you loud and clear as well. Perfect. The gentleman that just joined us, it looks like you're still connecting to audio. Are you able to hear us?
Hey, Lindsay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, quick question. Once I'm going to be transferring any questions that are in the chat, and I'll be posting them into this forum for the Zoom for the, I guess for the speakers. Do you want me to just announce it or just put in the chat for you guys to be able just to see it and answer them as they come up?
That's entirely up to the speakers and how they would like to view that. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Browning, how would you like that to be done, sir?
Yeah, I was under the impression that I was only giving the opening remarks. I wasn't actually speaking. I think that Sheriff Brown is actually speaking for Dallas over there. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Sheriff Brown, you're on. All right, guess wait. I can just direct message.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good to see everyone. Hello, Mr. Browning.
Hello.
Good afternoon,
Captain
sir.
Guyton, hello.
No,
Under Sheriff Guyton, welcome. Mr. Rutledge, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
Good. Now I'm gonna go through a little inventory check. See what we have, we don't have. So let's see here. So Captain Guyton, who are you representing on your end?
sir.
Who are you representing on your end?
Education Training Committee, myself and Mr. Michael. We're
Oh,
gonna
your training side. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. And I think Mr. Brown, I believe you're on the side, I want to say, of AT&T, correct? Mr. Browning?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm with
Okay.
FirstNet and AT&T, so I should be doing the opening remarks.
Yep, I'm just going through my little checklist here to make sure we have everyone.
Perfect. Yes, sir.
Yep. And thank you, by the way, Mr. Browning, for all your continued partnership. All right, Sheriff Carter, welcome.
Thank you.
And we got to see if we've got Yolanda Smith. I don't see Yolanda on yet. And Sheriff Washington. I don't see him yet. We have a few minutes here, but we'll get the other two on. And Ms. Rutledge, I guess you're on the Education and Training Committee, Ms. Rutledge? You on that end?
Yes, sir. I
Yes,
just
okay.
changed it. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so make sure.
Okay.
Sometimes we have other people that are representing other groups, so make sure. I was hoping you may get me out of the list of Yolanda or Sheriff Washington. So Ms. Smith, we've got to wait, and Sheriff Washington. Okay.
I know Danielle normally jumps into these sessions, sir. As far as giving Zoom host capabilities, would you like me to transfer that to you, Mr. Crawford? Okay.
Hey, Sheriff, I got a question for you, ma'am.
For me?
Yes, ma'am. I'm
I was
good.
gonna
How are
say
you?
that, yes, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, Captain Guyton and Ms. Ridley. By the way, Captain, I remember when I was well, I'm gonna use the word rookie, but I was really new at Noble. And he took me on a ride along. And I told him, I said, you can't tell my wife I'm gonna ride along. If anything happens today, she can't know.
Yeah, I'll take care of you.
But it's good to see you, Captain. It's good to see you doing well in your
Yes,
career.
sir. Yes, sir.
That's like 7 years ago. Yeah.
I know, time flies.
Yeah.
When the questions come up in the chat, I'll be transferring over from the chat for Noble's chat onto this Zoom. Would you like me to just post them and
Well, we
wait?
should be getting Gary McFadden as our host. Our
Okay.
moderator. I'm gonna text him right now and see where he
Okay.
is. He's actually the moderator. So let me just send a message.
Okay, because I was gonna tell Sheriff.
Sheriff Carter and Dwayne, can you guys change your name from host? I don't know if you guys heard Lindsay earlier, so that
Yes.
the
Yeah, let me
people can see our names.
hold up. Let me rename. Here we go. Yep. And let me get a message over to Sheriff.
Okay. Sheriff Carter, you know where San Mateo is?
Of course.
That's my city. That's where I'm from.
Oh, nice. Well, you don't sound like it though.
I've been in Atlanta for about 20 years now. I lost all my Cali talk. That's all gone.
Yes, you did.
All gone.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Under Sheriff, it's nice to see you as well.
I do need to transfer host capabilities really quick. Mr. Crawford, would you like me to give those to you, or is there?
That's fine. I may have to moderate this session. So I'm checking right now in with the
Perfect.
moderators. I may have to pick this one up. So that's
Okay.
fine.
I just transferred to you, and if Danielle hops on or whomever, you can transfer it from there. Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. Smith. Welcome. And we'll need to, we'll need to just put your name in. Let's see here. That right now. Okay, we have Sheriff Carter. Let's see here. We got Under Sheriff Guyton. So we're going to probably go ahead and start, everyone. I'm going to pick up the moderating duties on behalf of Sheriff McFadden, but we'll go ahead and start with the team that we've got. Now, also, I don't see, one other person I don't see is one of our other sponsors. Just send her a message, but let's go ahead, everyone, and start. What I'm going to go ahead at this point and do so welcome, everyone. This is the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. We're going to go ahead and start our session. On behalf of our National President, Linda Williams, and incoming President, Frederick Thomas, we're so glad to be part of this session. And the title of our workshop is Correctional Reform is Here. What do we do when they come home? So before we begin introductions, we'll start off first with our sponsors, and we thank them so much for investing and being part of this year's conference. We're going to ask Mr. Shannon Browning to speak on behalf of AT&T.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Crawford, and all the noble organization. I am Shannon Browning. I'm a lead market manager for FirstNet, built with AT&T and the Response Operations Group. Some of you may have heard yesterday with our VP from External Affairs, AT&T has committed $40 billion to building this network for public safety, but not just essentially for you guys to talk and communicate on your life-saving critical missions, but more importantly, we took your feedback, your input, and built the legislation around it. This partnership that we are establishing is extremely vital, extremely important to AT&T. Your guys' mission aligns with AT&T's mission of creating a more diverse culture, addressing societal issues. Everyone on this forum, everybody in this organization, in our organization, has been impacted with societal issues that have been unchanged for far too long. AT&T wants to continue to advance our relationship with Noble, as you are the leaders on your forefront. You are the pillars for change. You guys are the influence out there. We understand that law enforcement is under siege right now, the defund the police. We are working on our end with legislation, as you guys may have heard yesterday at the earliest session, but we really want to make sure you guys know that we are supporting you. We are working with you guys to try to advance your guys' agendas and make sure that you have our support. Everybody here at AT&T is encouraged. We're extremely honored. I am extremely honored to be able to come here. Although I'm traveling on the road today, I wanted to make sure that you guys understood your value and your importance that we place upon your guys' mission here at AT&T. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Also, we'll be having Jane Lighton join us in a second to speak on behalf of L3 Harris, but at this point, what we're going to do is play a video from Axon. Please give us a moment as we play the Axon video. Okay, well, we'll come back to that. We'll go ahead now and start. Oh, by the way, our moderator has arrived. Sheriff McFadden, we can see you, sir.
Well, thank you all.
Yep, and we had an opportunity to hear from our sponsors. And we've also, I see we got Sheriff Washington here. So we have a few more people here. Welcome.
Well, you
So
can
what I'm
get
gonna do right now Sheriff McFadden, I'm just gonna change your name here. I'm just gonna go in and do this and turn over the duties over to you as the moderator. So I'm just gonna do a quick
Thank you.
name change. And we'll do the same thing with you also, Sheriff Washington. I'm just gonna change your name here. But go ahead and start. We've already had a sponsor remark, sir, and we'll now have you introduce the panel.
Well, I let the panel introduce me. Instead of me introducing them, they can introduce themselves to make it quicker because we have time, and I don't want my brother up there in Detroit to call me later and dog me out. So got to watch Sheriff Washington.
I would not do that. Is my name changed to host? Does that mean I'm a host?
You can host it, brother. You know.
Oh, no, I'm not. I just see my name has changed to host. Does that mean
No,
anything?
I just changed your name.
Okay, got you. There it is. All right. So who's first?
We will let the ladies go first. Ms. Smith, how about that?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, I am Yolanda Smith. For 26 years, I served with the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, and for 15 of those years, I served as the special sheriff, which is comparable to undersheriff. Just this July, I pivoted and now switched over to policing. I am at Tufts University serving as the Executive Director of Public Safety and Chief of Police. This conversation is very near and dear to my heart. I look forward to it. And although I broke out of jail, I kind of want to go back some days. And I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you. We'll take you back. And we will go to Sister Carr.
Good morning for me in California and good afternoon to everyone else. My story is flipped from Ms. Smith. I started my career back in '96 as a sheriff, a deputy sheriff. And in '99, I went over to the policing side of it for 21 years. And recently I came back in January as the assistant sheriff for San Francisco. I am excited to be back in corrections, and I am just here happy to be on this panel with so many amazing people. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And the undersheriff, and I'm not going to mess up this, Guyton?
Guyton, Ronda Guyton.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. Like I said, I am Undersheriff Ronda Guyton, Superintendent for Peoria County Sheriff's Office. I'm the first African-American woman to hold this office as undersheriff since its inception in 1825. I have been in law enforcement for 27 years. I started off in corrections for 3 years, and then I became a deputy sheriff, and I worked in investigations, community policing, extradition, and just kind of moved up from there. So I've been in this role for the last 4 years. I am one of 3 certified jail managers in the state of Illinois, and my sheriff is the second. And I am looking forward to this conversation.
Very good. Thank you so much. And I will go to my brother, Sheriff, Brother Washington. Mute. Mute. You're on mute.
Okay, so thank you, Brother McFadden. I am 38 years in law enforcement. Thank you all for thinking I don't look that old. But I am 38 years. I started my law enforcement career in 1983 with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. I did that for 2 years while I was waiting to be called to Detroit Police Department. I went to Detroit Police Department in 1985, worked for 24 years there, retiring from there in July of 2009 when my late great sheriff and mentor and friend, Benny Napoleon, he was appointed to sheriff in 2009. He asked me to retire from Detroit and come with him into the sheriff's office. I retired on a Friday, went to work with him on a Monday in the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, and I've been doing that for the last 13 years. I was just appointed to the sheriff's position in January 15th at the reason I was appointed because my sheriff, Benny Napoleon, passed away of COVID in 2020 in December. And so he never got a chance to serve his term. His new term, he was re-elected in November. He passed away in December, and I was appointed to fulfill his term on January 15th. So that's why I'm here as your sheriff. Always had a dream that I would be here, but we talked about that. Didn't think we'd be here because of his death. We was talking about being here because he was going to retire, and hopefully I would get the appointment. But nevertheless, I'm here carrying out his legacy while I create my own. So that's my story.
We thank you. I think, is this all the panelists? That's all the panelists that we have? If it is, then I will just slightly introduce myself.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm Sheriff Gary McFadden of the 45th Sheriff of Mecklenburg County in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm the first African-American sheriff in the city's history. I am currently serving now my 40th year in law enforcement. I spent 30 years with the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department. I'm the longest reigning homicide detective that they ever had. I love to say there is not a lawyer in the city ever won a case against me. I've never lost a homicide case in the history of Charlotte. I have a 96% clearance rate. I'm happy to say that. And now I'm the sheriff. And so I came on the heels of many great sheriffs, but I think I will be the best sheriff out there now because we are the most progressive, dominant sheriff in America. And I'll tell you that. And if you talk to Brother Washington, he says, I talk like this all the time. And then if you think that you can't come against me, then you come on and get you. But here's what the love that I have. If I haven't talked to you, I will talk to you. I will call you up because it is our time. It is our time. And I'll say that. And if they say anything about me, they know it is my time, your time. And so I just want to promote this lovely conversation that we're going to have today because it's very near and dear to my heart. And our Brother Washington's right. Napoleon is somebody that I love dearly, supported, but then, you know, God allowed him to go on and he gave me this great young man to be with. But let me make sure you understand this. I don't know everything, don't claim to know anything, but as a group together, if we come together as a group of powerful law enforcement force, we'll be fine. So I still want to thank Nobles for giving me this opportunity. You know, and I will thank the brothers and sisters who paved the way before this, but make it no doubt, and I make no apologies for anyone. If you don't believe that we can take over America, you probably need to stop what you're doing now. But in order to do that, we need to become progressive. We don't need to still go to meetings. We don't still need to do the Zoom. We need to do productive, progressive measures to become well-known throughout the United States. So this is where we want to go with this conversation. Because when I walk into office, the first thing I did is change the name. We do not say inmate, we say resident. We do not say jail, we say detention center. So something simply as that, I believe, starts what we call reform. And I'm gonna tell you this, a lot of people know about Graham versus Connor. We all heard about Graham versus Connor, right? Well, let me tell you about how well I know Graham versus Connor. Connor was my partner in 1984. I just spoke to him 2 days ago. So when you're talking about fighting for your life and fighting for your rights, half of your career, when I just joined the police department, that is something that I learned at a very early age. So this is why I'm always going to speak like this, always going to make sure that you know I'm in the room. But here's what I want us to do. I want America to know that we are in the room. And so when we talk about these issues, about reform, the people that we are trying to help with reform look like us. And you have to understand that they look like us. We can't cut it short. We can't make it pretty. They look like us. So the first, we're gonna have a series of questions. And the first question they have for me to ask you, what is prison reform? What is the prison reform issue? I wanna say, what is the criminal justice reform issue? Because we have talked about it, we've heard about it, but we haven't seen it anywhere on paper yet. And I will say this, they probably want me to host another program like this because some people can get what they want just because they ask. We have been asking for all of these years, and here's what I'm going to say now. If we are in control of these organizations, we should not allow somebody to ask us, we should present it to them. So that's my opening statement. Are we ready to roll? All right.
Ready to roll.
So we're going to talk about this prison reform issue, and I will let it be open. What do you all believe really is prison reform issue?
I'll start. I did a little, I'm sorry, go ahead, share. I did a little research about my area in the passion I have for it. And this is what we've been dealing with for the past few years here in Peoria. We had a published report by the 24/7 Wall Street that analyzed racial disparities of the Peoria metropolitan area and found that the poverty rate for Black residents is 4 times greater than the white residents, and that the residents are 9 times more likely to be incarcerated. We just had a recent study within the last 30 days by the Economic Innovation Group that stated our 61605 zip code is the most distressed area in the nation. 44% of the zip code that we live in is in poverty, which is triple the national average. Peoria County Jail, which I serve, is operated by the Sheriff's Office, and we oversee 378 detainees. We're the 8th largest jail in the state of Illinois. In 2019, we processed 8,183 bookings, which accounted for 5,775 individuals. These are the demographics. 54% were African-American that were incarcerated. 44% were white, while only 18.5% of the county is African-American and 74% is white. These numbers are out of control, and that's why criminal justice reform is an issue, because I know these numbers are mirrored in these other counties, and I'm sure the other panelists can speak to this, and that's why prison reform is an issue, and we have to do something about it.
So I'll weigh in, and that's a good point on the sheriff, and that's huge, and I'm just, my mind is boggled by those numbers, but nevertheless, as it relates to Michigan, and I don't know if this is just a Michigan thing or what, but some time ago, back in the early 90s, I believe it might have been, the overwhelming majority of our long-term mental illness institutions were shut down, closed. And that put mental illness consumers in the street. And as mental illness goes and the condition that happens, and I know very well how that happens, having an aunt who was mentally ill from birth to 80 years old and 80 something years old. And we dealt with her as a family and never institutionalized or anything like that. And had we known what we know now about mental illness and how to treat it through training, we would have done a better job. But nevertheless, it's important to me that those that end up in our facility, in a county jail, in our county jails, that we understand mental illness as much as we can as police officers through training, and we understand the conditions and we understand how to treat those conditions. We're not treating the person, we're treating the condition that the people happen to be dealing with. And I think we have to reform and have to get into that mindset, because they should not actually, most of the time, even be in our facilities. They should be in mental illness institutions that they can get the help, the real help that they need. And we do the best we can, because we have doctors and psychiatrists and those people, social workers that treat them. But overwhelmingly, the police officers, the correctional officers, the deputy sheriffs that we have in our facility, we have to treat them and deal with them. It's important to me that they're trained, highly trained in mental illness as much as we can, and learn what it is that we need to do so that we can better serve those people. So I think we have to talk about reform in prisons and county jails. This is what I'm talking about, because it's real in our area. These people that are in our custody that need the treatment that they can that get the best treatment that they can get while they're in our facilities.
May I just piggyback on Sheriff Washington? Prison reform issues. It starts out with the fact that in Massachusetts, I should say, a group of legislators, advocacy groups, interest groups have all gotten together and talked about what prison reform should look like, as if we don't know, because we are the experts and the practitioners. And they gave us a host of reforms that they would like to see. We would like to see them too, but here's the problem. It became an unfunded mandate. So here's your budget, which is enough to get through payroll and a few other things, and we're unable to actually effectuate the charges that they have given to us because of minimum money. Now that didn't stop us. We found grants. We partnered with community partners because, as the sheriff and undersheriff mentioned, jails, houses of corrections, prisons have become the de facto mental health facility, the homeless place for those who have insecurities, detox facility, and mental health facilities. I think I said that. So, we are charged with dealing with people that nobody else wants to deal with. We try to section people who are not competent to be in our facility. They go a day and they come right back because they cannot handle them, or they're overcrowded. So the issue for me regarding prison reform is, if we want to holistically counter the things that have traditionally happened in prisons, then we have to put our money where our mouth is and fund these initiatives so that they can be fruitful.
Very good.
And lastly, all of what everybody has said, when I did a little research on reform, I went back, of course, to the slave patrols and what that really meant about capturing all the Africans, right? And the hopelessness and the powerlessness that we must have felt at that time. And for me, when I think about reform, there are people that do not want the change. There are people that don't want reform. And so we, like you said earlier, have to be about action and to get out of the Zoom calls and to really start working together to make the changes so that people can have hope, so that people can feel empowered. And I think that's a part of prison reform, is to give tools and resources to, we call justice involved persons, to empower them so that they do have all the resources that they need.
You know what, let's make a comment. I'm going to comment as the moderator and also, moderate this thing. And I like the word that you use, justice involved. Believe it or not, when before I became sheriff, I was sent to several countries. One was Norway, one was Germany, to learn about the correctional system. And I believe that we could do better. And this is why I first changed just the language and the labels that we call our residents who is in our custody. Justice involved is better than the criminal justice system or that. And I think those are small things that I think that reform should come from. But also what I'm always going to be interested in is how we are preparing our neighbors. And why I say, how are we preparing our neighbors? Because I'm often asked, Sheriff, why are you doing all, I just was asked this morning about the same thing. Sheriff, why are you doing all this for the residents or inmates, as they said? And I said simply, how do you want me to prepare your neighbor? Because these people are going to be someone's neighbor at some point. So how do you want me to prepare your neighbor? So I'm glad that we're talking about this. And one thing that came up in this questionnaire, it is, what are our short-term and long-term steps to help reduce recidivism and increase success rates for our formerly incarcerated people? So what are we doing as sheriffs, undersheriffs, leaders, CEOs that you are doing, or what do you would like to see being done to help reduce recidivism? And then I want to go backwards when we do this. So I will start with Sheriff Carter, go back to Ms. Smith, Brother Washington, and back to Ms. Ronda. If we can do it that way, so we can keep the flow going.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. So in our jails, what we do for short-term, for me, it seems short-term and long-term. We have people that come into our jails. Of course, with COVID now, it's been very difficult, but the holistic part of it that we're talking about and everyone having a seat at the table, we have involved our community programs. We have involved our faith-based organizations. And so we want to make sure that, as you said, our neighbors are shown or are given all the resources, whether it's spiritually, mentally, psychologically. And so we have people that come in to teach about jobs, how to write a resume. They have people that come in called 5 Keys, and they talk about education, employment, getting people GEDs, because we want to make sure that the person is healing all the way through, that they feel good about themselves. And so short term, we have, of course, people coming in with the programs, helping out with the substance abuse. But long term, when they leave, we also have programs on the outside that they can take advantage of as well, so that they can be connected with jobs when they come out. We have a program right now that we're working with called Discovering Your True Self. And what happens, the person comes in and they talk to our transitional age youth about gangster rap and loving themselves. And once they finish the program, we have connected with a pre-apprenticeship for a contracting job, and they can go in and become apprentices. And so we are connecting them with possibilities and opportunities on the outside. And so it does take the entire village. It takes all of us, the programming, the faith-based groups, the businesses, all of us working together so that we can make sure our neighbors are well, healthy, and mentally okay.
Absolutely, that's great. That is great. Ms. Smith?
Thank you. What a good question. So the first thing that I think that we have, the first thing that we do when folks come to us is stabilize them. A lot of times they come to us with a lot of issues, substance use disorders, mental health issues, and sometimes they're dual diagnosed. And so the first thing that we need to do is stabilize them and then triage their individual needs. Determine what it is that they need to do to be better than when they came in through those booking doors. We try to create an individual plan for them and get them involved with their own discharge planning. Because if you think about it, discharge planning starts the second they walk in the booking door, because they're not going to be with us that long. And then we get interaction from community partners. And when I say community partners, those partners need to be vetted to make sure that the services are services that are going to help our returning citizens, and are willing to give them warm handoffs and be there for them. We also have them sign contracts with us so that we can interact with them for a period of 3 to 5 years, because statistics tell us that if someone can remain outside and not recidivate in the 3 to 5 years, there's a good chance they're not coming back, or they're not coming back for as serious a charge as they originally had come to us. So, our plan regarding reentry and helping the men and women is seriously just a holistic plan, working with the community, lobbying for more money so that we can get the programs that they need, and including them in the discharge planning and in their individual service plans, which are created to help them and get their education and get them on track vocationally and help with housing instability.
That's great.
So yes, sir. So I'm just going to repeat what's being said. We have a program in the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. We partner with a program called the Wayne County Jail Ministry and Outreach Program. It's not necessarily a part of our agency, but they work hand in hand with our agency. It's run by retired judges, state Supreme Court judges, some ministerial leaders in the community, and grant funded, as well as donations throughout the area. And the program is so huge at this point. It started out where they could only, we create a pathway for those that are leaving our jail system to go to this place when they get out of jail, so that they'd have the means that they need to feel good about themselves and not return to our facilities. And so this program offers clothing, obviously, but outside of clothing, they offer dentistry treatment. and they offer all types of things that make you feel good as a person, along with the educational piece. They offer temporary housing where those that are leaving our jail system and may not have any place to go, it's going to be stable for them, where they have 3 good meals and they have showers, good hot showers. How many of you all know sometimes when who have the means and we take a shower, just a simple good hot shower, we say, wow. I say to myself, being in this industry, if we can just get our brothers and sisters a good hot shower, they feel so good about themselves, and they think that, why do I need to be where I just came from? I could be out here living life like this. If we provide the means and set the pathways for them to go, whether it's toiletries and things that they need to just make them feel good about themselves. Of course, we're offering GED programs and things like that that will take them further into the work force, where they can be productive and start to take care of themselves. But we're highly engaged in programs like this. They're so productive. Again, the ministry who wanted us to partner with them, they said, let's just send us 1 or 2 at a time and let's see how it goes. And this program has gotten so big and so large, they're just receiving as many people as they can. And it's a very successful program. We have to cut down recidivism. We have to be in a position, because we're seeing the same people, and just set a pathway that they may feel good about themselves and be in a position where they can take care of themselves through education and through housing and things that we're providing for them on a temporary basis, so they can begin to take care of themselves.
That's wow. That's great. And I'm hoping that the people who are listening, just before Mr. Ronda, I hope that the people that are listening will put some questions in the chat so we can go to you at the end and make sure that we cover those. Undersheriff?
Thank you. Most of our programs are set for short and long term. So we have a reentry case manager. And so they are introduced to him when they first come into the facility, if they need to go on protocol when it comes to drug addiction, or help them navigate the programming that they could participate in while they're here until they're released. So we work hand in hand with that when it comes to mental health, finding short-term housing. What I mean by short-term housing is finding a place where they're not locked into a long-term lease, where they continue to be in financial, have financial problems towards the end. We have in-house job fairs. As a matter of fact, this Friday, we'll have some businesses coming in that will be talking to the detainees so that they can, be ready and prepared once they leave. And we were doing this before the shortage of jobs, well, not shortage of jobs, but people not, being able to fill the positions they're out there. So we're doing that. Community buy-in. We have a jail advisory board. I think it's important to stay connected to your legislator. Here in Illinois, I can't speak for any other states. We had the Illinois Marijuana Cannabis Reform Act. And what that does is that those who suffered any injustice, their records are being expunged, and then they're being able to get pathways for their for a license to sell. It's called a social equity license. We have a smart recovery program, which gets to the root causes of your addiction of alcohol or drugs, mental illness, anything that you're dealing with. We try and just tap into those types of things so that you have a better tomorrow.
That is great. What I would warn all of you all this: if I hear about something that I don't have, I'm taking it. So I'm writing these notes. So when you see me sitting here, because as my brother said, I'm not stealing, I'm just borrowing it. And I'm going to try to make it a little bit better. And so what we have done here as a sheriff, and let me tell you, I'm excited like this all the time. So don't think that I'm like this just for this moment, because I love my job. I'm happy. I got a big sandbox that I can play in now. We have a 3,000 bed facility, 3,000. And so now we got about 1,500 men and women. So what I did when I first got here is, number one, I gave them tablets. If you don't have tablets inside your facility, that is something that you need to consider. Then we started a GED program and a graduation program. I have a graduation program, and if anybody don't believe it, I'll send you the caps and gowns and also the music, because that's how we help our men and women progress. We have this graduation day, and we're going to have one this week where cap and gown, and we invite their family in before COVID, but now we televise it out. I think all of this is criminal justice reform and building the great man. We also have a GED program. But one thing I heard that we all talked about is mental health. You all have a conference. We're going to go to these conferences, and your health provider are going to take you out to eat. They're going to talk to you. They're going to do all these things. Well, ask them, what can we create? I came in and we created a men's behavioral health unit. 1 year later, during COVID, we created the women's behavioral health unit. So believe it or not, in September 1st, I'm going to take a group of my employees who already been trained in CIT and all the other stuff, and we go into the ACA conference, and we are 99% grade rates. For anybody want to know that, we got a 99%. If anybody get higher than that, that's a 100. I even give you the coins. But we brought this in. So imagine now inside my facility, we're going to have a whole behavioral health unit ran inside my facility just for them. But now the state has asked, see all that what we're doing, and now they're going to fund this facility inside my facility with 20 beds, and it's going to call capacity restoration. And so instead of sending them out, they're going to do everything here. And you know about these IVC orders? Well, a part of my facilities that's not being used is going to be used for an IVC facility. So this is where we're going with it. Book clubs. We have to talk about book clubs. And I heard Ms. Guyton talking about job fairs. We hold job fairs inside our facility pre-COVID twice a year. The first job fair that we had, 59 of my residents had 65 jobs, because some people got 2 jobs while there. So when they are released working. If you ever want to come down and see it, or I can come to your agency and help you with it, this is what we're doing. A beautiful thing that we also do, we take care of the whole man. As you can see, I love clothes. I'm going to try to get my brother Washington to send me some of the Detroit stuff. But imagine going to your dry cleaners and ask them, please give me all the clothes that have been here for 2 years, and write them off. I have a haberdashery men's closet on the 6th floor. So imagine having a suit, as we say, make you feel good. So we do all of this. I have 400, and last year I had 425 people registered to vote. Registered to vote. 425 people registered to vote. Our Supreme Court justice here lost by 410 vote. And you know what I often tell her? If you came to my facility, you at least would have got half of these people to vote for you. The CARES impact statement. While we're sitting by waiting for the national election on November 4th, the federal government told us through a letter, and if you don't believe it, I'll send it to you. The IRS and the federal government says, just because a person is incarcerated, that does not give them the right to receive the CARE impact funds. 225 of my residents received their $1,500 impact care statement. What does that do for your facility? I guarantee you this, nobody popping sprinkler heads now, because we have the money in your account. So if you pop my sprinkler head, I'm going to charge you $600. So our sprinkler head damage went down because everybody got their little $1,200 check and it went to their account. And I told them that if you pop my sprinkler head, it's $600. And so these are the things that we can help our men and women with. We also have something that's called peace and poverty. Imagine people in my community said, we have watched you struggle with what you want to do. Beginning September, a young man is going to create a part of inside my facility where our men and women say, if you want to start a lawn care service, this organization is going to help this young man create a lawn care service, build him a website, give him that website free for the first year, but also make sure that he has an LLC license when he walks out of our facility. So when he walks out of our facility, he is a CEO of his own lawn care service. So these are the things that we need to look at. Again, I'm saying this because we believe that we do well, but we waiting for somebody to give us money, tap into our resources. It's something here called caring. I don't know if it's in your state. I will absolutely let you know where it is, but if you will give my number at the end, caring, CARE-RING, is some young ladies who are going to take care of my 4 women who are expecting mothers. They're going to come and be with these women for the first 2 years of the child's life. So if they connected with my mothers at 1 month old, they're still going to be with them until the child is 2 years old. Believe it or not, talking to them, caring them, being a mentor are things that we need to do. So I believe all of this, that what we're doing helps reform. The last thing I had a protest in front of my building, but I took that to take advantage of things that we need. So now we have something called RESS, RESS. RESS is Reentry Support Services. I have 45 volunteers with yellow shirts that come in every day to greet the people who are walking out of my facility. And they have a bag for them. And if anybody wants to see an example, I'll show it to you. We have a bag for them. We have toiletries, we have hats, we have a poncho, we have a $10 meal ticket from McDonald's. McDonald's have provided us 200 $10 meal tickets per month. We have bus passes. You go to the transit service and you know how we grip and grin and shake hand and say they are partners. Well, ask them, can they give you bus passes? But imagine leaving our facility, getting a bag of things that you never had before, some snacks, a bus pass, and a meal ticket. That is the beginning to help recidivism. That is what I believe. But we'll move on to the next question if nobody has any questions. And I'm sorry, I'm passionate about this, so I don't know if this was a data session or a good feel-good session, but I'm just telling you what we all can do together and walk around with our legacy that we should all have and we should all want. We want to leave this as Napoleon left. I will tell you, when my brother left Detroit, I felt lost because he grabbed me. But I'm doing this for the people who went on and want us to have this because it is our time. Sorry about that, but that's just the way I am.
No, I appreciate that, Brother McFadden. And I'm telling you, I love the part where you're bringing in those who can employ those that are leaving our facilities. We oftentimes wait and try to, direct them to places once they get out. But I like the part where you brought them in, and we have to figure out how we do that in this pandemic that we're trying to get out of. If everybody would get vaccinated, but nevertheless, I love that. I love that, and I think that's huge. That they know that when they leave our facility, that they're going to a job. That they're not trying to figure it out when they get out. So that's something I'm gonna steal. I'm gonna borrow it. I'm gonna use that. We're gonna do that. That's for sure.
Anything that I can help you with, here's something we did I forgot about, which is a beautiful thing. If you go on Facebook today, and this gentleman does not mind me saying this, if you go on Facebook and look up Anthony Wise, he's out of Charlotte, North Carolina, Anthony Wise, and he has a yellow construction hat on. During COVID, the Department of Transportation said they would like to train people in highway construction. So imagine never leaving the facility. And see, this is where we're going virtually. So they trained 12 of my people in highway construction company through the Department of Transportation, virtually. A construction company here hired every one of my people from that class the day that they hired them before they walk out. So when they walk out, they had a job. Anthony Wise put out on Facebook 1 year ago, homeless, addict, didn't know what he was going to do. He put it all on Facebook. He said 1 year later, I'm getting paid $18 an hour, the beginning. And so this is the thing that we need to talk about. But here's, again, we are in charge of these facilities. They have allowed us to be in charge of these facilities. And we have to tell them what we want instead of saying we want, because we're still asking for justice and no justice has ever came. So we have to show them what justice looked like. And so this is why I'm saying we have to show them what reform looks like. We have to show them what recidivism should not look like. And then we move on from that. And that's what I think that we should do.
Thank you, Sheriff, for that. I think that's wonderful. And I think you mentioned residents and you talked about labeling. That's one thing that I've been working with here in our facility is labeling and not saying inmate, using detainee or using residents or ma'am or sir. I think when it comes to being intentional about uplifting people, that makes a big difference. So thank you for sharing that in addition to the additional program that's on there. I think that that is something that's huge that we need to take away in addition to the programming is how we address those that are temporarily detained in our facilities.
Great. I'm trying to look in this chat room to see if anybody has any question.
Sheriff McFadden, can I piggyback off?
Yes,
of the
yes, ma'am.
In regards to the procedural justice, because procedural justice is whether you're in corrections or out in the street, treating people with dignity and respect goes a long way in, just making people feel that they are valued, and we want to make sure that everyone is valued. And so a part of that is making sure that our deputies understand that these are people, and that just because they made a wrong turn, we still treat people with dignity and respect. We still do our job. We still are safe, but we can treat people as people. And so everything that you're talking about of making sure that people, because it could be our cousins, our mothers, our fathers, we need to make sure that our people, regardless of where they are, get all the resources, the tools, the love. Reunification is very important. We also use the tablets, and we encourage our justice involved people to reach out and to connect with their children, because we want them to remember that they are people and that there are folks that love them and are rooting for them to come out. But it also starts with the deputies, because if our deputies are walking around here treating people a certain way, it gives a mixed message. And so we have to make sure that as we are encouraging others, that the people under us need to do the same thing.
So Sheriff McFadden, as the assistant sheriff said, if I can just weigh in on that, that is so important. When I came into this position, it was very important that I let everyone know that, listen, it can't be me, because I'm already taken. I'm talking to my deputies, my sergeants, my lieutenants, my commanders, my captains, chiefs, everybody. You can't be me, but you're going to have to police some kind of way and treat these inmates. You're going to figure it out some kind of way that resembles how I treat people, because I think that's very important. That in the greatest judicial system in the world, that we say, where people are innocent until they're proven guilty, we're going to treat people like innocent human beings. Oftentimes, people are in our facilities because they can't make bail. They've been accused of something that they can't afford to bond out. They're innocent people, and some of them have been proven to be innocent when they have their day in trial. So we're going to treat everybody the right way. And I think it's important that we send that message, because at the end of the day, when they get out of jail, if they're not treated the right way, they get to go home and say, we weren't treated the right way, we were mistreated, and the sheriff allowed it. And the sheriff is not going to get blamed for that. So I'm in these jails, on these floors as the sheriff, making sure and talking to people and letting my deputies see me in their space, knowing that I'm not trying to do their job, but I'm gonna make sure that people are being treated the right way. And I think that's important. So I can appreciate what the assistant sheriff is spoke to that end. And I was in the chat just a minute ago too. And someone asked the question of when I mentioned being vaccinated, what are we doing? I think it's a great question. What are we doing as sheriffs, and how much can we do to make sure all of our officers are vaccinated? And here in Wayne County, it was determined through our law department in Wayne County that we actually can mandate that those that work in our facilities get vaccinated. Now, that's not what we want to do, and that's not what we pulled the trigger on doing, because we're trying to, we're all masked in our facilities, and we get tested every 2 weeks. Everyone is mandated, and those inmates that come into our facility are tested and they're quarantined until they come back with a negative test. So we're doing those things outside of mandating it because our staffing, as you all know, in law enforcement, period, in the nation is terribly low. And so we don't want to be in a position where you're not getting vaccinated, so we're going to let you go. We're encouraging everyone to get vaccinated, and we're doing the things that we need to do to keep ourselves safe with air purifying systems and things like that that kill the virus on contact in all of our facilities. And so I think it's a good question. What do we do to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe in our facilities and requiring that our officers are vaccinated as well? We have about a little more than half of our officer population vaccinated, and we're constantly telling them that the only way we're going to flatten this curve and get out of it is that they get vaccinated. So I think it's a good question, McFadden, but this is you're the host, you're the moderator.
I just want to piggyback off of what everyone said. I think I don't want to beat a dead horse. We all know that there is an empathy deficit in law enforcement, specifically in corrections. And one of the ways to counter that is to make sure that the staff and the labor force look like the men and women who are detained or incarcerated, because that's just natural empathy for folks who are there for having substance use disorders and have been marginalized and have been abused by the very people who are charged to protect them. So one of the things that I am very, very, very much so a stickler about is that my labor force look and reflect the folks who are remanded to custody. And here in Massachusetts, the vaccination is going to be tricky to make it mandatory. I think we're all moving towards it, but this is a very unionized state, and so with the vaccines not necessarily being FDA approved and used for emergency use right now is going to be a sticking point for us. But I agree with you, and we are incentivizing as best we can that folks get vaccinated, because it's not the men and women who are in custody who are spreading this virus. It's us. That's because right. We are coming in there and not doing what we need to do to protect them, ourselves, and our families. So yes. I'll stop there because I know we want to get to more questions. Thank you.
Can I just say that San Francisco is very progressive, and the Department of Human Resources have given a mandate actually for our jails and hospitals that everyone who work in the jails and the hospitals get vaccinated by September 15th. But again, the unions are definitely going to fight that. So we'll see what happens in the end. But for now, we have been messaging like crazy, going to different musters. We use our video, our social media. Recently, in the last 2 weeks, because of the Delta variant, we've had 12 deputies catch COVID, and the ones that were vaccinated, asymptomatic, but the ones unvaccinated, we have 2 in the hospital right now. And the thing is that, the message is to get vaccinated because we don't want them to end up hospitalized or worse. But all we can do is message, and model the way, and to be vaccinated ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually had an opportunity to have our health department come and do vaccines here within our facility. So we were able to get any officer that wanted to get vaccinated was able to do that, in any detainee. Unfortunately, once everything came out with Johnson & Johnson, that severely slowed down. So we were able to have 4 clinics since the beginning of the year when the vaccine became available. We're scheduling another one for the end of this month. But again, with the mixed messaging, unfortunately, we're not getting the numbers that we would like to see or what we were seeing at the beginning, but we are making it available here at the facility, so no one's having to go out of their way.
Thank you. I'm going to tie a couple of these questions together with my answer on a couple of these, then we'll get there. So we're talking about mental health, reading this, and vaccines, and then we're also talking about how we treat people. Well, let me tell you how we do it here. And by no means we know everything, but I just like to say, this is what we're trying. So when I got here, I try to treat my men and women inside just like men and women are outside. So once a year we have, I know the ladies like to hear this, you know, your women's conference. Y'all will go to a women's conference in a minute. Men don't go to men conferences, but women go to women's conferences. I'm trying to keep this light because, you know, we done been into so much of COVID and so many Hollywood squares. So if anybody says, well, the sheriff and that session was this kind of light, I think it should be. You know, let's just treat each other like we should. So what we did is we had 2 town hall meetings. For the men, it was called Removing the Mask. Because we all think that we are the Mac Daddies and we all think that we got together. We don't. And then we go home and cry and crumble. And then the women had Still Our Rise. So imagine a women's conference inside the detention center called Still Our Rise. And then we had a men's conference called Removing the Mask. And so what we did with both of these conferences is this. We talk about the very issues that we're talking about, mental illness. Believe it or not, some of our officers inside our facility has been abused and sexually abused as a child, but they never say it. Some of our women in our correctional facilities has gone through something that they never want to talk about. But imagine talking with the men and women inside who are telling the story. I had both men and women correctional officers to come up and tell their story and left people in tears. So this is how we can break that stem, and then you gain the respect. But then we talk about COVID. We had town hall meetings. We will go to the pods and give out an information pamphlet. We're going to have a town hall meeting with you next week because we're assimilating what they would get outside, the same thing inside. So then we talk about what are the good points of doing COVID. What are the good points about fighting COVID? How are we going to fight COVID? What kind of mask is best for you? So we're educating our staff along with our residents at the same time, and then everybody has this information. But what we did also is did a PSA to the public. If you have loved ones inside your facility and you want them vaccinated, encourage them. When you call, encourage them and let you educate them, and also they educate them, educate their family outside to say, Mom, I think I do need to take this shot. And then we look for the best shot that we can. So these are times that we can always bring all of these issues together simply by having conversations. But when we're talking about, I looked at this, the mental health inside for our staff. Our staff sometimes don't want to tell us that they're stressed out. I have 61 people out on FMLA. 61 of my staff are out on FMLA.
I got 345. 345 that's FMLA qualified, I guess it is. 345. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Staff members.
We the numbers are going up, but we haven't seen anything. So these are things that we're going to have to talk about. And we can provide them all that we can, but you simply have to tell me that you're stressed out, burned out, or just need. We're asking our reserve guys now to come in and just give the people breaks. They don't know it, but I'm fixing it. Our lunch hour is 45 minutes. Now I'm going to give an hour for lunch and 2 15-minute breaks. But here's something I would stress to all of the people who are listening. Walk your halls, walk your halls, walk your halls. Connect with your staff, be human, connect with the residents, show a human side, and you will get better results. I can tell you this. I can't go down to the female unit because everybody think I'm their dad. And we take care of them very well. And here's what I want to say. During COVID, you have to create things. And if anybody think they have a debate team, now this is crazy. And this is why I'm saying these sessions can go kind of sideways. If you think your ladies can out-debate my queens, I have a debate team. If you think you can out-debate my ladies inside my facility on a debate, give me a call and we'll set up a debate team. But these are things that help my staff and my residents to deal with the stress inside. Imagine you have some women debating, is incarceration punishment or rehabilitation? That was our first debate. And so we had 2 pods debating about, no, this is incarceration, it's for punishment. No, it's rehabilitation. These things help mentally our staff and also our residents. So these are small things that don't cost you any money, but simply having a debate team to work together, team 1 against team 2, that helps mentally and physically inside these facilities. And so you don't have to get a psychiatrist, you can, but these things that help take you away from them stress and challenges. So when somebody says, what are you doing? Simply creating things that help you interact with your staff and your residents inside your facility. Any other comments?
I think
May
that's
I just
great.
address, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, may I address a question I saw in the chat room?
Yes.
How do we support our staff mentally? Because if they're not right, the institution won't be right, because they're boots on the ground, and they have the first interactions with the men and women. And so one of the things that we've done, I'm sure I won't prolong this. I think we all have employee assistance programs. Something that we did because, a lot of folks don't like talking to the people they know. They want to talk to folks that they don't know because they don't want their business in the street. And I think that's important to acknowledge that. And so we partner with a lot of different municipalities in Massachusetts, whereas you don't have to talk to an EAP member in our facility. You can talk to anybody else that has joined this collaboration with us to service the men and women who are doing the work. And so I think it's very helpful. That way, you don't have to go to your supervisor and say, hey, I'm feeling stressed out. You can go to someone you've never met before and be able to tell your story without feeling like you're being judged because you have issues. And this is especially important for men. Men don't like to talk about their issues. And so we thought it very important to create this network throughout Massachusetts. So if you don't want to come to the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department for help, go to the state police, go to another sheriff's department. And that has been very effective. And again, just creating a bunch of networks throughout, I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. If you try to do this alone, you'll be by yourself and you'll work in that silo and you will miss innovation and progression. And so the best thing that we've done, not only for the men and women, but for our staff, is to be collaborative and share everything that we do. A lot of what I've been hearing, I think we're all doing, and it's just amazing to see how progressive and innovative that we have become.
That's some great information. We have a wellness program, a peer support program, and I will share too. I can share with Mr. Crawford. We're also working on an app, and this app can be used by our detainees or they can be used by our officers, and it has lots of different resources. We're modeling after another state, so I think that's really important when we're talking about mental health. I know for us, 55 to 60% of our residents are dealing with some type of mental issue, and it only got worse during COVID. And of course, we know that some mental illnesses set dormant until something tragic happens in your life, which being confined could be one of those triggering effects. The other thing I think is important is that we also do like a game night where we have pizza. I've had my husband make, playlists, might not be the most appropriate playlist all the time. But, it's the music that a lot of our residents listen to. So, he'll make a playlist and they'll have pizza and they'll play dominoes and cards and stuff like that. And during COVID, that really helped them, especially when we had our outbreak. We could do something that was right in the pods. We're working with an organization now where we can have a movie night where they'll actually get new movies that is out, and we're going to have it in our gym, and then we'll just rotate pods over the weekend where they can see a new up-to-date movie. And that also helps with it when it comes to discipline.
Good point. Anybody else? Well, I'll tell you what I did.
just put in there, the Correctional app. For us, we have peer support, and especially during this time, our peer support has been going out there, just being, present. We're revamping our chaplaincy program to have the Ministry of Presence. So we have 3 chaplains that will be coming on board soon, and that's just, for people to, if they want to use them and talk to them, they're confidential. That's another thing that we're doing. And also, even though people are taking a lot of COVID leave, we're not stigmatizing them. It is what it is. And sometimes we can definitely tell people do need the break, because after COVID came, a lot of the deputies in the jail have not had a break for 18 months straight. or longer. And so we know that the rubber is definitely getting very, very weak, and people need that break. So while that is happening, we're trying to be understanding, but the message is going out that together we're stronger, and those that are sticking around, we're just trying to, again, do everything that everybody else is doing, the barbecues, the bagels, the coffee, going to muster, saying thank you. That goes a long way for those of us who are in this. Just thank you, and mean it when you
There
say
you go.
it.
Sheriff
Mean
McFadden,
it.
that is so true, Assistant Sheriff, and we're making sure that we do everything we can as well to try to encourage our officers. We understand that staffing is terrible. It's so at probably an all-time low in law enforcement. Some of the things we've done wrong, trying to get people to understand that they need to be the change that they want to see to come into our agency. We just did a major recruiting fair out and on our Riverwalk this past Saturday. That was successful. But the problem is, as we bring those in, those that are wanting to retire, they're walking out the door as well. So we have to start talking about retention and how we best do that to try to encourage those that are at that retirement point to stick around. And again, we have to balance that, because sometimes if no folks ready to go, they probably need to go. But it's just it's a vicious cycle that we're dealing with. But we're in the fight, because I think law enforcement is a noble profession, and it's something that I don't want to live anywhere in this world if we don't have law and order somewhere right there at our side. And so I think we just have to keep working at it. But Sheriff, I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned your reserve unit, and we have a robust reserve unit in our agency, but we have strong unions. And listen, I'm a union person, grew up as a union person. I love the union. I don't fight the union at all. I don't want to be in a position where I can walk in the door because I'm having a bad day and just start firing people. I need checks and balances, and so I don't mind the union at all. But when we talk about trying to bring the reserves inside our buildings to do the job of officers, that's going to be a fight. And but let's be very clear. As I told them, my union chief, I am mandated to keep everybody safe. And if nobody's at work, somebody's going to have to come in and keep folks safe. And so how do you do that? I mean, does Mecklenburg have are you all union in North Carolina or what?
No, we're not union. And I simply tell them this: if you wear the badge, and even if you are union, here's what I will tell you. And you all can tell by now, I'm unconventional, very much unconventional. And I think that's what we need. If you honor that badge or that star, and you say that you love that badge and that star, and you love your brothers and sisters, can you give them a break? Can you just simply give them a break to readjust, take the hot shower, get something good to eat, and come back and shake my hand and say, brother, I just need you to come and help me. You know, we do get into those things, but then simply doing stuff like that, I simply went to my guys and said, look, y'all are the reserve. Y'all have made your money. You're just here, have the badge, have the gun, so you can always be in reserve. Can you help your brothers and sisters inside for this period? Just give me two months. They logged in 80 hours last week, and I think they logged in something already about 20 hours, and the day is only Tuesday. So I simply just asked them just to come and help us. And that's all. And
that's huge. The office,
you are who you are. But just simply saying, if you are who you are, and you believe that you are who you are, and you say who you are, you're helping your brothers and sisters. You're not doing anything wrong. Your brothers and sisters are in need. You call yourself the reserve. So when everything else is fall down and you're still trying to take that hill, you need somebody with a lifting hand, and you break it to them. And this is how I got them to come in.
No, that's the issue. Wouldn't be the reserves. The issue would be the unions who are fighting. They're saying, listen, we're not letting reserves in here. Y'all need to hire some people. And we're trying to hire people.
Yeah.
So it's not the reserve issue. They'd gladly do it. They're outside doing some things in the community, and we love it. And they're working side by side with some of our officers outside. But that's a whole different animal here in my area.
Sheriff Washington, can I just say to you that I have you know, at the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, I deal with 6 unions at one time, sometimes negotiating all 6 of them. And so what I have found, if you want to do something like that, something that we have done, you got to bring the union to the table, sit down with them, and point out that what's in it for me, point. We've done that and ask them to help you create a program, because I hear you. The first thing they're going to say is nobody's taking our work. Because if you start that, they lose it. They feel like they're never going to get it back. Right. But to Sheriff McFadden's point, you know, when the same people are getting forced to work overtime over and over again and are tired, that becomes a wellness issue. So I would encourage you, and it may not work for you, but I would encourage you, get your union leadership to the table. Say, I want you to have input. I want you and I, or me and our teams, to get together on this and talk about it and see what we come up with. That way there's no grievance, because they are participatory in trying to do something better. And I really find that the more interactive you are with them and make them feel like they came up with the idea and they can see what's in it for them, you're going to have a win.
We've done that. My predecessor has done that, and we'll continue to do that. We've asked union leadership to come in and even help us recruit and do the things that we need to do. And that's even a challenge from leadership standpoint, not from membership standpoint. So we got things that we're dealing with. Again, I've been here 7 months, and things become personal for some people. You know, as sad as that is, it becomes political and personal. And you know, I wasn't somebody's choice, and so they're not going to help. And just the personal political rhetoric that and at the same time you say, well, we're concerned with officer safety, and I say, well, you can't have it both ways. You can't be concerned about officer safety and don't want to get some help in here for them. And so, you know, you deal with those kind of things. But I'm the first one that came into this door January 15th, giving the union leadership what they asked for, giving police powers back to people who had their police powers taken, that Sheriff Napoleon wasn't ever going to do. And he told them he wasn't ever going to do it. And I did it, because I don't believe in taking police powers from people who got to go and live in the community. Everybody knows that they're the police taking their powers and things like that. I just don't believe in it. And so I came in and gave the union leadership exactly what they asked for. That lasted about 2 months. And then I became the worst person in the world. So that's our problem. That's not something that's going on across the country. I hope not. But I'm just saying, I've come to the table and I've done everything that I can do. And we'll continue to do that, to make sure that we work hand in hand with our union leadership and our unions. So thank you for that, Miss Yolanda.
Anybody else have a comment?
Can I just say, I would love for Sister Yolanda to have a conversation with me too about unions, because I'm in the same boat with Sheriff Washington, and it sounds like you have wonderful ideas, because trying to work with the union, and I know this is a separate issue, so we can talk offline, but there are definite issues right now with certain unions. So thank you.
I'd love to. I'd appreciate it. Sure.
Me too.
Well,
Absolutely.
That'll move us right into our next question, about what are the top 3 things negatively about retention. So if y'all have a problem with y'all union, y'all can call me. Y'all can work for me. I mean, we can work about the salary. You know, I pay my chiefs very well. You know, very well. So if y'all need something to do, I can find you something to do, because here's how do we do retention? Believe it or not, it is hard. Somebody said, what are the top 3 things that have negatively impacted officer retention? Well, our salary, how we treat them, and how we do not appreciate them. And I'll tell you, that's the biggest thing that I try to do. Believe it or not, how I try to keep my officers here, I try to treat them as family. And I try to keep them as family, and we try to pay them. Believe it or not, I don't know if this is a recruiting thing, not known for recruiting, but September 3rd, to walk into my facility, to start with no 4-year degree, is $53,000 a year.
Wow.
To walk off, I mean, no college degree. I had to fight for that. 53,000. Then you got your shift differential if you work at night. and then we're going to give you a bonus your very first year. So then you can almost make $57,000 in your first year. This is when you fight your city council. This is what we do. And I understand everybody has these problems with the unions and everybody else, but here's what I'm saying. You are fighting for the goodness of a law enforcement agency, and so you should do whatever you need to do. But giving somebody retention is hard, because all of us are coming into this new generation where we have a lot of seasoned veterans, but then we have the people who want it right now. And then how do you get those detention officers who want it right now and, you know, ready to work, you know, as we said, this Johnny on the spot, but then also complement our seasoned officers. We have to not reinvent the wheel, but we have to keep them interested in then what is going on new. Technology is new. You know, how our citizens are being treated. Everybody has a camera, so we're gonna have to tell people that we are moving towards being better in law enforcement, and that is called criminal justice reform. But how do we keep them working for us? We're gonna have to pay them better. We're gonna have to give them benefits better, and we're gonna have to treat them better. And we treat them as human beings. So when somebody said, what are the 3 things that impact us? I believe it's money, not knowing who's working for you. You know, somebody's going through a crisis, he's going through a divorce. They may not need to work shift. They may need to take a desk because they're going through this crisis, or you're gonna have a use of force. But I'll leave this open to you all for us to discuss. And I'm sure recruiting is one of the biggest things that we have. If we don't if we don't talk about how much we love our profession, you are simply hurting your profession.
Yes.
My staff tells me this: if you go to lunch with Gary McFadden, the sheriff, and I walk by 3 people who are working security, bar, or whatever they call them in other cities, they're getting a card. Stop playing. I walk through the airport, and everybody who's standing out directing the people coming into the airport, the security officers, they get a card. Why? I want you to come and work for me and let me take care of you. This is how we have to recruiting. I have a car that's a community car. It's a Dodge Challenger souped up. I drive that car all through the city just giving out masks. And I know y'all ain't got no money in some of these cities. I know that sounds like a joke, but I know all y'all got money. I got a bus. I have a city bus, drives around the city with a picture of me on the side in full uniform, 1-800, you know, make the difference. And people just say, Sheriff, I just saw your bus. I just saw your bus. I said, well, come and work for me. This is non-traditional ways of we have to be. But then you, my ladies and gentlemen, has to show these people, our citizens in the community, that we love what we do. We say we love what we do, but do we really show people how excited this job is? Then you tell them pretty much how much you make and what your benefits are at the end. And I believe that is a recruiting tool, but tell them it is an honest job. You're gonna have benefits and you're gonna have a retirement. So we are our best recruiters. Give your staff recruiting cards. I mean, just a business card, and give them an incentive. You might bring somebody in, you know, you get a day or so off. Anybody brings me a recruit, I take them to lunch, and we don't eat cheap. But then now that's a recruiting tool. It seems unconventional, but then if we still doing the same things, we're gonna get the same results.
True.
And I'm sorry, I'd open the floor for you all. Y'all know I can talk. I'm just happy to see beautiful Black men and women here that I can talk to. And y'all, you can ask Brother Watson, I'm like this every day. I drive my staff crazy.
That is true. He gonna talk to you. He gonna talk to you.
I'm gonna talk to you, and I'm gonna tell you exactly where you are with me. And if I don't agree with you, that, you know, what are you gonna do? Fire me? No, that's right.
No, Sheriff, I totally agree with you. You have to love your job. I love what I'm doing. I've just all I ever wanted to do in life. So as I always say, I've never worked a day in my life because this is all I ever wanted to do. I mean, I love, after 38 years, every day of my 38 years, I've been the police. It's what I love. Some folks think I'm crazy. How you working 38 years and still doing that? But nevertheless, you have to present that. And I think we that aren't disenchanted with law enforcement that work in here, and we have to figure out some kind of way to get our people to feel that same way when we're talking about retention and talking about staying longer than 25 years or 20 and out, make them feel some kind of way. Oftentimes, some people came on this job, maybe it wasn't a career, but they got here, life happened, and they stayed, and so they leave as soon as they can. Say it again. No, go ahead.
See, I would take all of y'all and put y'all on a poster right now, because I find my best looking women who think they run track. And then I find all my brothers got these shaved heads and close beards and look like they work out in their sleep. And I put them in a uniform and put them on a poster and have them give them out. You know, just like at the club, and I know everybody's saying the sheriff done went crazy. Well, then you can't worry about me, how I'm recruiting. You know, people say, I have a problem because, you know, I'm trying to recruit all the time. But these are things that we have to do to make people excited about coming to see us and work for this job. Like I said, this is my 40th year, and I want to tell y'all, you will probably hear say they try to roll Sheriff McFadden out here with an oxygen tank and a wheelchair, because I love what I do. But when you see the community loves what you do and the community loves you, then you make our men and women who don't want to be in law enforcement to say, I want to try that. And that's what we have to do. We have to make it lovable, exciting, and then, you know, sometimes fun. And that's what you have to do. It's fun. Yes, ma'am.
I want to point out too that, you know, with regard to retaining staff, we have to acknowledge the fact that the young folks have entered the workforce. You know, I am working with people who are younger than my children.
Yes.
And so I have to adjust and pivot and figure out what is it that is going to motivate them? What is it that will sustain them? And what do they need? And I can tell you, I interview everybody that I hire. If you haven't gotten an interview by me, you don't get hired, because I need to make sure that you believe in second chances and you believe in social justice. But one of the things that I get back from these young folk is, you know, talk to me about inclusion. You know, am I invited to be a part? Am I invited to the dance? Okay, that's good. But now are you going to let me dance when I get there? The young folks want to know that. They want to know that their voice is going to be heard. I mean, they got their challenges too now, because
they want to know when they're going to get vacations and when they're going to get off. They want to know that too.
They want excellent working conditions, but they don't want to contribute sometimes. But you got to work around that too. And to Sheriff McFadden's point, I don't pull punches. I tell you, you have not done anything to contribute to a better space for yourself. So, but I do believe that the younger folks are here, and we have to understand them if we want to work with them in a good manner and keep them.
That is true.
One thing that I did when I walked into the door that has helped me, and I don't mind telling y'all this, I'm going to walk into something Thursday that is going to be earth-shattering to a lot of law enforcement. But before that, when I walked in the door, do you know I have a LGBT community inside my facility?
Oh, yeah.
They have a committee inside my facility. They meet inside my facility, and they got LGBT shirts. So I have a staff that I support 100% with the LGBT community. And we go out, and we have the second, I think that Ms. Sheriff Carter, they have the largest one in San Francisco, but we have the second largest LGBTQIA, because y'all don't know what the QIA stands for. I do. In the country that we march. So, you know, they had to stand me down because I was ready to rainbow one of my cars out. But they said, Sheriff, you can't go that far. But marching with them and being with them and then having my staff with them, believe it or not, you all may hear this, I have the first transgender officer that changed their identity that I'm going to honor this Thursday. Because if you knew the journey that she went through to become he, is unbelievable. And I'm going to send at the graduation. But when she put in his paperwork, that's how I had to talk to her, put in their paperwork, they thought that we were going to fire him. I had an hour-and-a-half conversation with that officer. And it was one of the best conversations I had. And he started laughing at how I had acted towards her, and now I got to act towards him. But then what they went through to have the surgery and everything, and what they give me every day is going to be awarded is one of my highest awards that I give out. I only give it out when I think somebody goes way beyond anything. You know, if you save somebody from the car, that's your duty, but even though I give you an award, but when you go through so much and still work for me, still an expert shooter, still as working, I have to grant that. But I'm going to use that person as a recruiting tool. And that person is going to be a recruiting tool, because if you don't understand where we're going in America, then that's a sad thing. But these are the things that we have to start doing unconventionally to also keep our staff and encourage those 306, 40 and whatever's out there that's on FMLA to come back and work for us. And these are the things we have to do. Let me see what else we have.
Totally agree. Hey, Sheriff, also what I'm doing is oftentimes you'll find those that are in our custody, as you get to talk to them and make them feel good about themselves and not just their inmate and that don't mean anything. They'll often, I've had inmates, those in our custody, offer their relatives to our agency. They go home and recruit them and tell us that, listen, you treated us well. I've got a young nephew. I don't want him to be in the same condition I am. I mean, how can I get him into your agency? So to your point, recruiting comes from everywhere. You know, I'll recruit wherever I am. I wear my police garb. I'm not hiding from anybody. I've been in this community 38 years as a police. It's too late now for me to be scared of anybody. I put on my police stuff and I'm out here recruiting. When as you said, we go to the airport. I'm going to New York. I'm wearing my Wayne County Sheriff's hat to New York. And the TSA people are the one that's stopping us and saying, hey, listen, are you guys hiring? So to your point, it's those, there's a lot of ways we can recruit and then talk about retaining those that are there and hopefully get caught up, because what happens is they offer these incentives for people to retire as it becomes a cost-saving measure to the administration, to the county administration or the city or whoever is offering these incentives for people to retire. If you run 200 people out at one time, you know, it's going to be hard to make that number up and as fast as you offered the incentive for them to retire. So we're dealing with a lot of challenges, but we got to keep fighting the good fight. And that's where I am. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, y'all know we have talked, but you know, I think we need to come back. They need to have our panel every year. I'm just kidding. So, but I enjoy this, but I just want to give everybody the last comments, but I want to encourage anybody who wants to call the sheriff in Mecklenburg County. I put my number in the chat and my email, and somebody said something, be clear of women, okay, they don't want big men, big women. think I said something, best looking women. Well, if you don't think you look good on whatever size you are, that's you. I think all women look good. My wife would tell you, he loves everybody. And so don't take that wrong. So don't come at me like that.
Don't take that wrong. That's true,
Brother Washington, somebody better call that, you know, because, you know, I ain't take my medicine today. Look, and let me say this, y'all. Let me tell you how important this is for me today. And this is all seriously. Today at 8 o'clock, I was in an accident. I stayed in the hospital until 12 o'clock today. And I called Brother Crawford and said, no matter what, I'm coming to this panel. So believe in me, y'all seeing me, I've been in an accident, left the hospital at 12 just to be here at 1:30. But then I also had a childhood friend who passed 10 minutes before I took this call. But here's why I'm saying this. It's important for us to be leaders. It's important for us to take the challenge. But here's what I'm going to tell each and every one of you before you go. It takes courage. It takes courage, and oftentimes you will stand alone. Oftentimes people will not agree with you, and oftentimes people come for you even when you don't send for them. But like I told them, you can throw all the shade that you want, but I'm not going to sit on a tree and watch the leaves fall, because this is our time. And if you don't believe that, come together and work as a team, and don't be envy of each other. Don't be envy of who's the undersheriff, who's the sheriff, who's not the sheriff, who's the deputy. I believe it's time for us to work together, learn from each other, and support each other. But here's why I want to tell the leadership here. There is not a day since I've been in office that I have not talked to a sheriff or a leader in our positions. Nobody knows what we go through. The people on this panel and the people who listen, nobody knows how hard it is to wear these stars and bars and circles on our collars or be the undersheriff or undersheriff. Call each other and just talk with them. Call each other and just talk with them. But I'll leave the last minute for you all and then we have to go. I'm telling you, I think they're going to drop us off if we don't go.
I'll start. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Assistant Sheriff.
First off, this definitely has been a great panel. I have learned a lot. I'm encouraged and inspired, and I love your words about being unconventional, thinking outside the box. So I'm ready to go. You know, I tell people we're rolling our sleeves up. We're about to get grimy and gritty with this and have a host of brothers and sisters who are holding me up. And I just appreciate you all so much. Let's just do it and come back next year and talk about all the things that we put in place from this inception.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity. It was a great discussion. I've learned so much. And I'm just going to be very, very brief and state this. Without prosperity and equitable investment, we cannot restore communities, families, and individuals. So we have to continue to treat everyone with dignity and respect and continue to be involved and push our people to vote and make sure we have the right people in place to invest in us.
There you go. There you go. And thank you. Let me say thank you to Carolyn Lewis as well as our second Vice President, Brenda Goss Andrews, our next president, I guess, after this first try, and congratulations to her going up as the first vice. But let me say, I've enjoyed this, and hopefully I can get. I know I got Ms. Smith's number. She had to jump off, but want to get everybody's number on this panel. I talked to Gary with 2 hours. 2 hours. With 2 hours regularly, and so I just think this is great. I think law enforcement is again a noble profession. We have to keep fighting the good fight to get these young people and those involved and understanding that they need to be the change that they want to see. Get them into law enforcement, and however best we do that, that's my mission. Because again, it's all I've ever wanted to do in life. That's why I'm still doing it today. And I want those to come. I want to set a pathway for those to come behind me and carry this law enforcement duty on. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And so we need people to be a part of our agency and carry out the good work that law enforcement carries out. So thank you, and have me again. Thank you all. God bless you all.
Sister Carter, you have any words?
I went first, sir.
Oh, you know, maybe the accident, you know, now I can't remember a bunch of stuff, but I would love for you all to stay in contact. Like I said, I learned from you all. And you know, I'm gonna tell y'all ladies something. I have a juvenile correction facility and I have the main correctional facility. All my facilities are ran by strong women and they all look like us. And I just sit back and watch them. And we have to encourage each other. And that's why I say this, you know, let's just encourage each other, support each other. And like Brother Washington said, if you want to just talk to me and call me and just say, I just need somebody to talk to, that's what we need every day, because we do have tough assignments. A lot of people have bet us out, but we are from a group of people who came in on a ship, in the belly of a ship, and we still are here. So this is the legacy that I want to leave, that no matter what you do, we are still here and we still will continue to fight. But I believe that's all, as they say, I believe that's all the time that we have. Either they're going to knock us off or we're going to go off. But I think if nobody else comes on, this is it for the panel discussion today. But like I said, thank you all for being here. If you need me, my number and emails in the chat. Please do not hesitate to call. I'm here to learn, and I will travel just to help you if you need me to help you. And it doesn't cost you a dime, because we got a budget in Mecklenburg County.
All right, I'm gonna use you now. You coming to Detroit.
We got a budget.
You coming to Detroit so I can take hey, Sheriff, so I can take you to City Slickers so you can
And
get
look,
some.
man, you know, I'll come to Detroit just buy my shoes and man, you have no idea. I've left some money in Detroit is a bad place for me to leave my money. Trust me.
Sure. Thank you all. We'll talk.
God bless y'all. Thank
All right,
y'all.
you now.
Bye.